Shockingly, 73% of the American workforce is not engaged. Let's look at the breakdown. Who's the 27% actively engaged? That big middle category, 60%, those are the people that are ambivalent. How do we identify those people? It's pretty easy. They're doing just enough to get by. They don't exert extra discretionary effort. Those of you that are managers, you want to identify your ambivalent people? At your next staff meeting, ask for volunteers. Your ambivalent people will duck under the table or hide behind a pillar. They don't want to exert any extra effort. They are doing just enough to get by. They approach their job haphazardly. They might look at the clock. Is it time to leave yet? They come in late haphazardly. They're not bad people, but they're certainly not engaged. How do you engage them? As a manager, it should be part of your responsibility to engage them. So if they're not volunteering at all, why don't you voluntold them? You can actually volunteer them. Say, hey, Mike, we need you on this task force. Thanks for being part of the solution, and our next meeting's next week. That works. People need to be reinvigorated and re-engaged in their jobs. I can't say enough wonderful things about actively engaged people. They're the ones that are getting compliments like, she went the extra mile. Boy, did he go above and beyond. They're creating incredible customer service outcomes. They're an inspiration for other people, and as you'll see in a subsequent slide, there are a lot of characteristics about these people that are just wonderful that we should be trying to instill in the ambivalent population. I think I gave a pretty good definition of what ambivalence is. They're not feeling recognized, which you'll see momentarily is the most impactful driver of engagement. Recognition for people. People want to feel appreciated. Who is this third category? You've worked with them. I call them formally actively disengaged. You could also call them water cooler malcontents. They are the people that are undermining their supervisor. They are spreading a cancer, if you will, and I'm not speaking lightly about this. It's been proven that these people can be incredibly destructive to the workplace. In fact, you want to identify an actively disengaged employee, who Gallup, by the way, calls a vampire. They're sucking the lifeblood out of their manager and their organization. Take a look at how these people interact with new employees. So you got a brand new employee that joins the team. Your actively engaged person is going to seek them out and say, we're thrilled that you're here. So glad you joined the team. This is what we're doing here, and we're really excited and passionate about it. Your actively disengaged employee will literally seek the new employee out and say, let me tell you what it's really like to work here, spreading that infection of disengagement. I am convinced, and most management gurus would agree with me, that the solution for that 13% is called transition. The amount of time that we are wasting coaching and hoping, and this is my biggest error as a manager. I'm an entrepreneur, so I'm a natural optimist, and I remember many meetings with many employees over the years where I coached them and I'd feel really good that she finally got it. We're going to see a turnaround. I wasted a lot of time just not seeing the ROE. And you're much better off transitioning people, particularly if you have set up a culture and programs, benefits programs and comp programs that are special. If you really have that, as a manager and a leader, you deserve to step back and say, you know what, these people don't deserve to work here. They just don't. So we're going to transition them out of the organization. How negative are these people? Actively negative. I vividly remember a moment where I announced a new benefit program at HR Solutions. At the time, we had about 35 employees, called everyone in the conference room. The leadership team had agreed that we would launch a brand new benefit. Everybody, if we met our revenue numbers by quarter, would get $500 added to their paycheck on top of the other benefits and on top of the other bonus programs. So I was really excited about this staff meeting and announcing this great new initiative. What a great positive response. And I vividly remember standing in front of the room, and when I announced what the benefit would be, I couldn't help but notice in the corner of the room, in the back, one of my proven terrorists of engagement leaning over. And by the way, there's 2 clients of ours that work in the gaming industry. They actually call the 13% terrorists because they are creating terrorist outcomes. So I announced this wonderful program, and I could see out of the corner of my eye this one individual lean over to the other 2 water cooler malcontents in this department and say, I could see it on his lips, "We'll never make it." You will see the antithesis reaction by an actively engaged employee. They have a yes, we can attitude. They will get behind new initiatives, and they'll support it. Those 3 employees have not been employees of HR Solutions for about 10 years. So it truly is a best practice to manage this pie chart. And one of the beauties of what we do is we actually let managers see their pie chart based upon how their direct reports answered the questions that drive these levels of engagement. That active management pays enormous dividends. Let's take a look at some of the attributes of engaged employees. They are more positive by nature. They tend to have fun in their job. They're pretty passionate about what they do, as exhibited by that picture. One of my big hobbies is to do high-altitude mountaineering. I've been on a journey to do what's called the 7 Summits over the last 15 years. I know some of you are looking at how heavy I am. I'm not anywhere near my climbing condition, but just got back from Mont Blanc in France. I've done 4 of the 7 summits. Got my butt kicked on McKinley about 3 years ago, 2 years in a row. But the reason I bring this up is reaching the summit of a mountain has a lot of parallels to building true employee engagement. And this picture actually was taken on our climb of Mount Elbrus, which is actually in Russia. It's in the Caucasus Range, and it's far enough west to be the highest mountain in Europe. And much like preparing for reaching the summit, you've got to have the right leadership, you've got to have the right engagement, you have to be prepared. There's a ton of teamwork. We're all roped up together here on this climb. How important is equipment and preparation and training? Very important. One climber not up to the task, the entire expedition is gone. Some of you might have run the marathon here in Chicago that was stopped because of the hot weather. Same thing on a mountain climb. 3 months of training for it, and then all of a sudden somebody forgets to wear the correct UVI glasses and goes sunblind. Everyone goes down, and the climb is over. Leadership, critically important. People want to know that the person they report to cares about them. They want to trust their leader. This guy at the front of the line, remarkable. His nickname is Mr. Denali. He summited Mount McKinley 55 times. Every one of his climbs, he brings an electric guitar and he sings at the summit. He celebrates, which is another rule of engagement. Celebrate success. This man is the only person who has ever done the 7 summits twice within 1 year. His name's Vern Tejas. He did the first winter solo ascent of Mount McKinley. Now on McKinley, it's a glacial climb. You could fall through at any moment and die if you're not roped in. So how do you protect yourself if you're not on belay with 4 other climbers? He actually carried a 12-foot ladder with him that he was hooked to, and he fell through twice. The middle of winter, all alone. That is an incredible leader. Pretty amazing. People want to trust their senior leadership, as you'll see momentarily. They want to know, particularly in this environment of the Enrons and the WorldComs, and every day you pick up the paper and you see evidence of mistrust. And all of our best-in-class clients, and I've defined that for you, these are the companies that have the highest engagement levels, the top 10%. They are led by incredible individuals that truly do care about their employees. They try to know every employee by name. One of the managers that's featured in the book, Building a Magnetic Culture, was a classmate of ours, and Steve Schomburger is in my class at Harvard, a guy named Fritz Van Passion. I just interviewed him for the book, and imagine this. He's the head of Starwood Hotels. They've got 200,000 people around the world, from Peoria to Beijing. And when I interviewed him, I said, what do you do about visibility? Knowing the visibility of senior management is important, how do you do that in all those different time zones? And he goes, you know what I do? I actually, and this is about self-reflection as well, the plane lands, he might have been in 3 different time zones that very day. He's got bags under his eyes and he's tired, but he says to himself before he walks into the property, this might be the only time that my employees, these employees meet their CEO. I'm bringing my A game. Pretty remarkable. And he talks about this subject as a journey, and he establishes continuous improvement, and he'll never be done. He will never be done, even if they're top of the heap. And it's that kind of leadership and excellence that lead to wonderful outcomes. Teamwork and support, knowing coworkers care about each other. Having fun on the job is important as well and leads to great engagement, as you'll momentarily see, but supporting one another. I'd like to recognize my coworker Melissa here, who not only helped for this presentation, but has done remarkable work in ghostwriting for the second book. And it's that kind of support that gets you to work every day, really appreciative of the people that you work with. And you think about the characteristics that you see in a wonderful coworker like this, and you say, we need to recruit for people like this. We need to set up our recruiting process so we find more Melissas to join our special team. The opposite of what you see up here is the disengagement. Who would do this? Remember the movie Office Space? Remember the beginning, the guy's trying to get to work and there's an octogenarian with a walker that's making more progress than he is in traffic? Someone who creates a sign like that to enhance the anger of just commuting to work is actively disengaged. My boss told me to change this stupid sign, so I did. Would you stop at that gas station for gas or water? I'd drive right by. I wouldn't trust the deliverable of that. And my personal favorite, which gets to the heart of disengagement and the lack of extra discretionary effort. I mean, come on. Can you just move the log? I mean, that is, and that's real. That wasn't made up. So now we look at where we're at in today's economy and what employers and managers and employees have been through, what I call and have coined the perfect storm of disengagement.